Okay, where were we? Oh, we're talking about driving.
Yeah, it's basically what were you doing after you left home, or
Okay. So, right after, I guess soon after high school, graduation from high school,
you went to City College.
I started running the flower shop, and so I ran the flower shop for a while, a couple of years maybe, and I realized that there was really no future because I could see that if the shop was ever making money, all the members would probably want a piece of the pie. And so I realized that there were too many the flower shop really didn't belong to anyone. My mother didn't leave a will or anything like that. And so at that time I was also taking classes at East Los Angeles College. And so then I realized that I didn't really know enough about the flower shop, flower business. So I thought that I would apply, go work at some flower shop and learn more. So then after college, there was an opening for a driver for the Otter McKinley flower shop. Otter McKinley was about, they had a bunch of mortuaries all over Pasadena and East Los Angeles and West Los Angeles, all over. I think they had about 17 mortuaries, and their main one was in Vermont. I think not somewhere around maybe third of Vermont was the big mortuary, and they had a flower shop there. And so all the mortuaries had photographs of some of these flower arrangements, so that the flower shop, when people would come in to make a funeral arrangements, it was very easy for the mortuary to sell flowers. So it was a very busy flower shop. And so I was, I'm not sure whether I was the only driver or whether there was somebody else. I think I was one of two. So I observed and learned. I worked there for a while, and I learned, because in our flower shop, we never made arrangements in containers, and so this was something new to me, and that I learned to do. And then there was an opening of a flower shop in Alhambra called Miller Flower Shop, and I went to work there, and by that time I could call myself a florist, And so I worked there. And I was working there when Gloria and I got married. And Gloria went to East Los Angeles College, and I went there. But somehow we never met. I guess we didn't have the same classes. But there was a Christmas party at somebody's home. It was where we met, and she had just come back from attending school in Mexico City, and I had just come back from a 2-month trip in Europe. So we both had a lot of conversation about many things, and I guess we clicked. Like your brother and I used to say, well, I guess we like the way we smell and taste. So anyway, from there, it was a flower shop, and they were. It was an old established flower shop, and Lee Miller, that was his name, was the owner, and he and some other associate of his started building floats for the Pasadena Tournament of Roses. And I think every year he had about 2 or 3 floats that they built, and he was also active in FTD activities, and so but he was sort of a cheapskate, but somehow a Japanese friend of mine who had a flower shop in Altadena, I think, asked me if I wanted to go work on the what do they call in the parade they have the cars, limousines, open cars that are decorated with flowers. Whereas the Grand Marshal, yeah, he said if I wanted to go because there was a flower shop in Pasadena, and I can't think of it right now, but this man was involved in decorating the cars, and he was also a set designer in Hollywood. And there were a number of people that had flower shops that were also connected with movie business, and because I recall there was your mother and I had a friend. Remember the name of the city manager in Placentia?
All I can think is Bradford. All I can think of Bradford, Kramer. I can only think of the Bradfords and the Kramers and.
Anyway, her father.
Was it Vic? Vic Knight? No. Vic Knight?
No.
I don't know.
Memory not like it used to be, but her father was a famous cinema photographer, and he had a flower shop in Burbank, I think, or something. So this, but anyway, so I guess I got, so from working for Lee Miller and Miller's Flowers, I found out that there was an opening in a flower shop in Hollywood called the Parisian. And so I applied, and it was owned by two Sephardic middle-aged man, and Joe, the main guy was Joe Chevy. He had me come to the flower shop so I could meet him, and then he had me make an arrangement, and I guess he was impressed too, so I was hired, and Ben Alsabed, Albert was his partner's name. There are a lot of, there's quite a few Sephardic Jews in the flower business. I guess for the reason is that it doesn't take much money to set up a flower shop. All you need is flowers and maybe some buckets. And if you have a good location, you will make a living. And so it isn't like having a restaurant where you have to buy lots of equipment and put a lot of money in it. So I think that's one of the reasons. And some of these little shops became big shops because some of these, like Victor Levy and other people, were good business people. And the Parisian had been started back in the 1920s. It was right on Sunset Boulevard, not too far from Fairfax, and you know the great address. And the original owner was used to call him Morlo, Ben Altabet, was his last name, and he was the uncle to Albert. So he later on sold the flower shop to Albert, his nephew, and to Joe Chevy. But Joe Chevy was the main boss. And I worked there about 5 years. And during that time, they got another partner, and his name was Chet Helchester. Chester Helchester, Chet, but they used to call him Chet. And he was a tall man, not handsome, but he was a real charming man. He was known as a Beau Brummel of in the flower market area, which was on Wall Street. He was a Beau Brummel, always wore a hat and a suit and tie and vest. There were a couple of other men that also dressed like that, but Chet had a flower shop at one time in Hollywood on a little street called Yucca. And I guess when they were developing or making the new freeways in that area, they took away his property. Well, I guess I'm sure they gave him money, but he lost, his flower shop. And I guess he probably sort of retired. But he was lured into coming and joining them. And this man, the name of his shop was Holchester's. This man knew everybody in Hollywood. I mean, big stars, big producers, directors who were friends of his, customers and friends. At that time, there were two women. One was named Hedda Hopper. The other one was Luella Parsons. You ever hear about them? They could make or break. If you want to go to the movies, they could make you a star, or they could destroy you. They were that powerful. There have been movies made about their lives. And I would go seeing Luella Parsons coming to the flower shops a number of times. It was a little short woman. But she also used to have a black man was her chauffeur, and he used to, I think he might have also acted in the movies. Used to come to the shop many times. So Holchester had this flower shop where he had the cream of the cream. Nobody else had such a clientele. They say during Christmas he would have to close up his flower shop because they could not handle all the orders that were given. Imagine, what can you give Luella Parsons or Hedda Hopper for Christmas? You couldn't give them jewelry. So people would give them these big baskets of really filled with liquor and stuff, or big plants. So anyway, Chet Holchester, I wish I knew what his background was. He might have been English. Like I say, he was a tall, not handsome, but a very charming man. He had this ability to charm women and men too. And I recall that Bonita Granville, you recognize the name?
Yeah.
She was a
Actress.
a child star that later on became she was pretty well known. She made a lot of movies. And later on, I think she married a very wealthy Texan. But I recall one day she came into the shop, and then he hugged her and kissed her, because I guess he had known her since she was a little child. And he complimented her on her buttocks. Yeah, I guess he had a nice little figure, and she took it as a compliment. She was. It was not embarrassing. It was. I guess she knew.
So when did you marry Grandma? Around this time?
When I was working in Miller flower shops.
Okay.
Well, anyway, Chet Holchester